So, hello everyone, Modern here. I'm an old gamer, buyer, nerd, whatever, right? I have bought every Zelda game since Link to the Past, and they used to cost $70, right? So I want to talk today about how games used to cost way more back in the days, how I don't feel at all that paying $70 for Tears of the Kingdom is a big deal, and also as myself being a game developer, how I see the effect of having games being stuck at like $6-70 for many years, and of course also inflation and how that actually works, right? Because games, let's be honest here, should cost way more than $70 if you look at inflation, right? But anyway, if you're interested in the topic, please subscribe, press the like button, and let's get into it. So let me be an old man and explain how it used to be, right? All these games here basically cost $70, right? So we have here, for example, we have FF8, right? That's $70. Sega 422, $70. Dragon Story, $70, worth more today. Suikoden 2, $70 and worth like $200-300 a day, right? Very good, I think it's the most valuable PlayStation 1 game I own, and probably one of the most valuable. But I'll bring it up because of this game, Legend of Mana, guys. This game here, not the best Mana game, Seigetsu, not the best game at all, but extremely expensive because it wasn't even released in my home country, right? Only released in Japan and America. I had to order it, import it to get it to Sweden. So I had to pay like another $50-40 for this game. So I paid more than $100 for this game, right? As in a new game when it was released. And I'm not even talking about inflation now. I'm talking about pure absolute value, right? $100 back in 97, 8, like 25 years ago. So that's kind of where I am, right? I have some little bias, but I'm like, man, I used to pay way more for games back in the days when I was a kid, and inflation hadn't affected either. So we'll come to inflation later in the video, but I have to say a little bit. I do think that it's sad sometimes. I feel it's a little bit outrage, right? When I see people say, oh no, it's so expensive and so on for these games, where I used to pay way more, right? Maybe it's self-serving, but I used to pay way more, and I'm just like, I have no problem paying a little more for a game I really want to play, right? But anyway, I bring it up because I really want to point out how it used to be so expensive. So back to Zelda again. I paid $70 for the Legend of Zelda Link to the Past. I paid $70 for Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. I also paid $70 for Zelda The Wind Waker. I actually paid $80 for the Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. So excuse me if I don't think that paying $70 for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is just a big deal. And also, I didn't count for inflation for any of the other games. I make the point, right, that I used to pay basically $70 or even $80, right, per Zelda game back in the days. Nintendo was notoriously very expensive in Europe, except in Sweden and so on. And today I can basically get the game, right, like a Fire Emblem game here, with collected edition from the same price. I paid $95 for this edition here. It's almost the same cost, right, that I paid like I Zelda Mask, only 10 more, 50 more bucks. And then I get an art book and I get so on. So for me, I feel that video gaming has been way cheaper. But also brings up here, because my next point I'm talking about here is gaming is still at the best value per dollar you have, right? So I'm currently streaming this game. Subscribe if you're interested, like and so on. I'm streaming on this channel, and I always play the game now, playing it on Madden, right? It's quite hard, and I've played the game roughly for 100 hours now, saved. Probably more than that for retries. So I played this game for 100 hours, right? And I paid $100 for this game. That is pretty simple math. Yeah, pretty simple math. I basically paid $1 per hour, right? If I go to the movies, I haven't been in for like 10 years in Sweden, but if I go to the movies in Sweden, I've been in Japan. Yeah, last time I've been in the movies a couple times in Japan, but for example in Sweden, if you go to the movies, it's like $15 for 1.5 hour movie. That is like $10 an hour, right? So if this game had cost what I pay for, per hour, it would be $1,000, right, for Fire Emblem Engage. And then again, until included art book and so on, it's only $60, right, without the art book and so on. So I think it's very important about it too. I think there's one thing you have to remember, right, talking about this, is Zelda worth $70? Yeah, it is. Maybe I'm biased because I like Breath of the Wild, one of my favorite games. So I'm biased because I love the game, but still though, probably played it more hours, right? So that is like $1, $1 per hour, right? If I buy Tears, the next game, right? How many hours will I put into the game? Will I put 70 hours into that game? Maybe not. But let's say I think it's fair to say I probably put 35 hours, right? That is like, $2 an hour. It's so little money. I feel like I'm getting crazy piece because one reason, right? If we go back to my pile of JRPG games here, for example, right? So I have every JRPG basically ever released, right? I collect games, generally speaking, obviously collect games, but especially collect role-playing games. all these games here, right? One reason why I liked JRPG games as a kid and so on, right, was because they had so much value, right? You bought them and you could play them for like 40, 50 hours, even more, right? You can play these games, you can replay them without bosses. They had like 100 hours of game time, right? So it was very, very valuable. Like seriously, one reason why I got into gaming as a kid, right, is actually the value per dollar. It really is, right? You bought a game and you could play it for 40, 50 hours, right? So you really got value for your kronos then, as a kid, right? 700 kronos for a video game, basically. Where everything else as a kid was way more expensive. You know, horses, hockey, soccer, football, whatever. Way more expensive, you know, per hour, right? As I mentioned, go to the movies, like 10 times more expensive. One reason why I think that me and my friends are rich and wealthy for, no, but seriously, one of my best friends, right, friend in college, we also talk about, why we have so much money in like index funds or whatever. No, no, I'm so rich, humble brag time. No, but seriously, I think that some aspects, right, the reason why I can invest money into separate stocks and index funds or whatever and so on, right, is because even as an adult, my hobby is like I play video games, I exercise, you know, martial art been my big thing for many years, right? Competitive martial artist, so I need to buy like a gi or whatever, right? But you can buy one gi and have it for, you know, years, right? Pay for the gym membership, right? You know, pay for the dojo, and then video games, right? You know, so I have money so I can buy figures. So I don't spend much time because one big reason, right, is that the video games are so cheap. I can buy a video game, you don't talk about, and I can play it for a few months, right? But at least I can buy a video game and play it for like a month, which is compared to basically any other adult hobby I could have, right? And I mean adult as in a grown-up, going to doing something not in the hand way. I mean as an adult, right? Having any other hobby would be more expensive, right? You know, eating out, whatever, going to the whore, I don't know, any other hobby, right? That my other friends or colleagues have, whatever, golf, whatever, going to the range, all this other stuff, right? They're all more expensive. Like I feel a little bit on crazy pills. People complaining about, oh no, Zelda costs 10 more bucks, and I'm like, yeah, but it's still probably the most affordable hobby you can have in the world. Am I the only one? Like I said, as a kid, one reason I got into video gaming is because it was the most affordable hobby, right? You know, like am I the only one? So now let's talk about why games probably actually should cost way more, not because inflation, but actually is price setting, right? And you have here, of course, is a steelbook version of Pokemon. Here's a normal version, right? And the reason the game company have to sell stuff is to make money, right? And I know it sounds the most, oh yeah, make money. Agreed. No, but the thing is that many game companies actually doesn't make money or enough money per copy sold, right, for the current price. That's just the reality. It is true Nintendo is a very big company, fine. But most doesn't actually talk about that. For example, then, I have worked as a game developer for many years. And I released several games to like Steam and other platforms, right? But a couple of years ago, I was working on a Steam game then, written on Steam, and you know, one of my parts of the game was deciding its pricing, right? And I mean actual pricing, what do you buy it for, right? And then it's like it's a multiplayer game, so you need to have, you know, some number of players online, right? So it's short queue time. So one thing we did was like, let's say the game costs $20. We were like, okay, but if you buy 2 copies, you get, you know, for $30, right? The first month, right? So we can populate the game server, right? And then you have to think about how can we sell it cheaper when it's like, you know, Black Friday or Cyber Monday, or when it's like, I don't know, Christmas Eve or something. Can we ship it down then, or should we get more then? And we have to maybe give it to some streamers, and all this stuff is very, very complicated, right? But my basic point is that many games should cost way more to buy, actually, because you don't actually make enough money back per unit sold, right? And it is true that for Nintendo, it's one of the, and it is fair, Nintendo has a lot of million copies, so they actually probably will make it, right? But, again speaking here, the reason, I know this is the reason people get like, you say that you don't know, but the reason, the reason, right, why a lot of games have DLC, and even more so than, of course, microtransaction, is because they can't make enough money per gamer. Of course, it's greed as well, right? They want to make money and so on. But for many games, basically, right, maybe this game should cost like $100 per customer, or even more than $150, you know. Competition effort, yeah. Maybe you should even pay double the price, right, or $100 for this game. But you know, the last like 5-6 years have been like stuck on $60. So the developers are like, okay, but we need to make like $100 per customer, right? Okay, but then we have, you know, $60 game. We have a lot of DLC stuff, and we have the costume and this stuff, and you need to add the stuff, right? And I've said it for many years in the industry, right? And people also, that I think, I believe it, if we could raise the actual base cost for a game, right, to let's say double the price, I know, but hear me out there, $120, right, then I think we will actually reduce all of these microtransactions, this stuff and so on. That actually would have been reduced kind of heftily if we actually could have sold the games for a way higher base cost, right? That's a way the companies can make up that money they need to make. And people think that, oh, no, most game companies actually aren't doing that well, right? I do agree, though, that it's fair. In this case here, it is Zelda, Nintendo. They're quite successful and they will sell a lot of copies. So I know it's a little bit, but I'm talking again on that. And I think it's been an issue for the last 10 or so years that companies, it costs more and more money to make games, right? Yeah, more and more employees and more technology and licenses and this stuff and that stuff. And it's more and more expensive to produce video games. Yet the pricing has been stuck for the last like 5-6 years. And again, going back to it, remember, right, it used to actually cost more money to buy games in like 20-30 years ago, right? And then we have for the last roughly 5-10 years, it's been cheaper to buy games. But the companies doesn't make more money per game. They need to add on. So I think a huge reason, right, why we have so much DLC and all the free-to-play games on is because the companies saw that, well, they're not making enough money, right, per unit sold. It's more money to be made in the DLC and the skins or whatever, right? Let me just put out though, of course it's a different kind of incentive though, right? The Kraken and the way is a big thing in free-to-play games where you want to get the really, really high spender paying a lot of dollars, right? Much more than an average user. So it's a little bit weird though, because I can't say that the only factor is because games are too cheap or whatever in the store, but I think again that one of the major factors, right, we moved into that is because they couldn't make the money back per sold copy, and then it was more attractive to try to get that massive buyer, right? So there was more than one factor. The other stuff affected too. I think that one reason is that stuff like Steam and so on, right, it's also made gaming for the companies worse because you have Steam sales and so on, right, the Epic Store and so on. They're all undercutting, what actually money the game companies make. For example, that's why some game developers take, the Epic deal, right? So they get paid by Epic to only be on the store and so on, because it's like safe money. So there's a lot more complicated factor than you saying that this is the reason why. But honestly, I start by saying I think that the game industry would probably be more healthier and probably produce better games if games would have like followed inflation basically. I think the games would actually been better. Let's talk about inflation now. Okay, so let's now look at some inflation numbers then, right? So this is, you can see here how much dollars increased in over the years, right? But to be fair, it's more interesting looking at something like maybe 93 or so. This is when I was a kid, right? The games cost like $70, right? So if you have a $70 like Zelda Link to the Past, should today cost something like $141, right? And that's, so how's inflation work, right? Inflation basically is the decreased value, right, of the dollar, or of any currency really, right? And I think a lot of people misunderstand that it costs more money to make games. Inflation, that's not really true. Games cost more money to make because of other factors. Inflation is more like, if I pay you, you gain less, right? It's more like, if you gave me, think more about this thing. If I make you a video game, you buy it from me, right? If you give me $50 today, I can now go and buy, say, 5 milk cartons for it. I can buy like 5 liters of milk or whatever, like 1 milk gallon, right, for that money. But 10 years from now, that's probably going to be half that money, right? So if you would give me $5 days from now, I can only buy 2.5 milk pack or whatever. That's more how inflation works, right? It's more like the money I gain from you as a seller is less valuable, right? So every year, where video games have been stuck around 60, 70, even 50 sometimes right there, means that the actual company, right, can gain less money for salaries or whatever they want to buy, right? And for that matter, let me point it out, right? Some people say Nintendo's wrong because the wages haven't followed them and so on, right? Haven't followed inflation. But that's not the corporation's fault. I won't say that's a corporation's shield. I mean more like, no. I know a lot of people, right, that are complaining, especially back in my home country, Sweden, that is like, oh no, my salary has only increased by 3%, average increase, but the inflation is like 7%, or 8%, whatever. So I'm losing, 4% per hour or something compared to last year, blah, blah, so on. It's terrible, blah, blah. Change your job then, okay? I'm sorry if I'm adult here, but usually the reason your salaries are not following inflation rates in most countries is because you stay in the same place, right? It's a very common, it's like a grown-up, modern grown-up pro tip here, but seriously, unfortunately, in reality, most companies will never really follow inflation rate increase, right, as a salary increase per year. Rather, to have a higher salary, you have to change job a lot. Last though, I do want to put out one thing though, which I agree with in the critique for Nintendo on Zelda. And that is that the collector's edition though is very expensive. Also, I have to have it. This is the wrong question. This one is very fairly steep. No, this is of course the Fire Emblem edition, right? This is a Zelda edition coming, right? The Zelda edition, of course, coming. And before I saw the price, I was like, oh, I'm gonna buy that. Bam, even more money to Nintendo, honestly. Obviously, you show my games, I collect stuff, right? I show my figures, whatever. So I was gonna buy the Zelda edition, the edition, but that one is way overpriced. That like we had 100%. That one is way crazy overpriced, guys. It doesn't even make any sense because, so for example, the Fire Emblem behind me, right? That one costs like 40 or so more bucks, right, than the OG game. So if you buy the game, it's 60 bucks if I'm engaged, or it's like 100 bucks for this edition, right? Okay, so fine, 40 bucks more, right? So Zelda now is costing 70 bucks, right, instead of 60 bucks. Okay, fine. Then I would assume, right, that the collector's edition should be 110. You know what I mean? When I bought Bayonetta 3 edition, same thing there, right? It's like 40 more bucks, right? So 60 bucks or 100 bucks, right? Yeah. But the Zelda tier is like 150 bucks where I live as all companies, or like 130. So that makes no sense to me. That is way overpriced. I was gonna buy it because obviously I buy most editions, right? Creator editions. But I actually might not buy it because that doesn't make any sense. That one is increased by, well, not just 10 bucks then, right? But at least like, it should be 110. Now it's like 130. It's like 20 more bucks. So that's like 30 more bucks bare minimum. But I've seen it go for like 15 bucks, right? So that one has an increase of like 50% something. That is crazy overpaid. Maybe it's gonna be cheaper, but affordable probably not, right? So I will see if I will pre-order that thing then. But yeah, I've been looking at even pre-orders for the collector's edition of Zelda Tears, and yeah, they go for like, I would say roughly 50% more than. Like when I saw the pricing of $15, right, at some stores, I imagined that it was gonna be more. For example, it's not more than this thing, right? In the Engaged one, you get the collector book, you get collector cards, you get the big poster, you get blah blah so on, right? This Zelda edition seems also to be the same thing, it's like it's an art book in that thing. It doesn't need to be more, right? Because sometimes of course you can buy, for example, I have the FF7 remake edition, right, where you get like a cloud figure. That's fine, right? It's like 300 bucks to get the whole sizable figure. That's not a thing, right? But this is way overpriced. So there I have to say, though, just to be completely fair, right, the game costing 10 more bucks with inflation over all the years, all that stuff, no, I think it's completely fine. I'm honestly surprised that games have to cost. If you ask me, it's a 5-year-old, I would imagine games costing 150 bucks now, right? I am completely fine with that, but I'm not fine with how the collector edition has increased by like 50% more. That makes no sense to me. And I hope you guys liked the video, right? I hope it's perspective, for me, this being an old man, right? But yeah, like I paid for this game more than 100 bucks, right? And basically every JRPG game I have, PlayStation 1, that are not made in Europe then, right? Or in Europe. So like this game, FFT, Chrono Cross, Exonagears, all those games, DQ7, all those games I had to import, right? And then I also had to import FF12, and there was many games I imported. Phantom Brave, almost every Nippon Ichi game, yeah, Phantom Brave, La Pula Tactics, etc. Give me a point. All those games I had to pay way more for. So, yeah, if you were lucky, once I was at the Canadian store and I bought like 20 games on the same time, right, for shipping costs, and I was like, oh my god, this is actually pretty cheap now. I'm gonna like this thing. So, no, I don't know. Maybe I'm just an old guy that buy games so many years, but for me, it's like 70 bucks, 80 bucks. I used to pay 200 bucks for this game. I was like, you got it easy today, kids. But anyway, I hope that's a video. What do you guys think? Please subscribe, and have a great day.